Are you looking for a battery-powered pan-tilt camera? What about one that has a solar panel, so you don't have to worry about that battery? What about one that not only has person, pet, and vehicle AI notifications, but can also track that type of movement without having to do a thing? Sound too good to be true? Think again. That's where the Tapo C660 comes in. I'll be showing you everything from general specifications and setup to what you can do in the application. I'm Wanderer 001. Let's get into it. To start this review off, Tapo did reach out to me and provide me with the C660 for the purposes of doing a review. However, they do not have any say into the content of this video. General dimensions are a little tricky to nail down because the camera is broken up into the swivel pan tilt portion with the camera and then this arm that is permanently affixed to it. But if we're doing a little bit of the camera portion into the arm, you are looking at 7.2 inches in length, and we'll call it a width of 2.95, just shy of 3, and has a depth here of 5 inches. So it is a very unique design, not just from Tapo itself, but from other pan tilt cameras that I have tested. It also has a internal 10,000 milliamp battery, which will be located in the upper arm portion, we'll call it, just to separate it from the rest of the camera, and operates over the 2.4 gigahertz as well as the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum, which will be important once we come down to our front camera area, I'll call it. Up at the top here, you have two 850 nanometer IR lights, which will allow you to illuminate in the dark up to 40 feet away. Just to the sides of those, you have two LED spotlights, which will allow this to use its Starlight color night vision technology. Those LEDs will help you with that. But coming down to either side of our lens, we have an ambient light sensor as well as an LED status light. Focusing on our lens itself, you are looking at a 1/2.7 CMOS sensor, which is a large sensor that's going to bring in a lot of that light when it's dark out or dusk, allowing us to actually see color in the dark, which is great. The resolution from this camera is 4K 8 megapixels at 3840 by 2160. You're going to get a very detailed and large image from this camera, which will allow you to pinch to zoom 18 times digital zoom. Really see a lot of detail in whatever you happen to be looking at. As you zoom in, I can see blades of grass, or I can even see my little robot mower, which is further away from this than you might imagine. The field of view for the lens itself is 105 degrees diagonal with 88 horizontal and 45 vertical. The video that you get from this will also have 15 or 20 FPS depending on how you have this set up. But because this is a pan tilt camera, that means that you're not limited to the field of view of the lens. If we incorporate the motion range of the pan tilt options, you now have a pan coverage of 360, meaning it can pretty much turn itself around, and a tilt coverage of 90, or a motion range of 326 degrees panning with a motion range of 45 degrees tilting. Just under our lens, we have our PIR sensor, which means this is a heat-based motion sensor. It will need both heat and motion before the camera actually triggers, which does help it preserve the battery, even though it has a huge battery. The camera itself is also IP65 weather rated, and I have had this rained on quite a bit during my testing and have had no issues. There really isn't a channel or lip around the lens here, as I've seen with other Tapo cameras, but it does have this shroud up here, and depending on how you have this mounted, that will help to keep rain off of it. It also has an operational temperature of -4 degrees up to 113 degrees. Haven't had a chance to do -4 degrees in my area, but I have had it up to about 100, and it works perfectly fine. If we come to the very bottom of our pan tilt mechanism right here, there is a nice rubber flap hiding a micro SD card slot. You can have up to a 512 gigabyte micro SD card in here, as well as there is a reset and power off button. But because I had this tilted so far forward, I neglected to point out at the top here, that is your microphone for the camera. If we come back to the arm itself, well, right underneath here, that is your speaker, which is having trouble focusing, but there is our speaker right there. Here is our USB-C charging port, and this does come with a solar panel, so you can use that to keep the battery topped off. You'll notice there's a nice rubberized channel that does very well in keeping water out of there. And then here, that is a press to release for the mounting portion of this. But before we talk about the mounting options for this, let me show you what else we get in the box. You have your solar panel. We've got a mounting arm. Zip tie. So Tapo's including zip ties. I kind of appreciate that. The other half of our mounting bracket, quick start guide, info, contact us, and then sticker templates for drilling for the mounting, USB-A to USB-C, probably to charge the camera, and then this is C to C, I'm assuming for the solar panel, and then we have these extra little bumpers that I've seen come in other Tapo solar devices. Mounting blank. Mounting hardware, screws and anchors, and then Tapo 4K camera right there. A few of the things that I want to touch on that came with this. First being the actual mounting solution for this camera is broken up into a couple different pieces. First, we have the part that connects and attaches to the camera itself. It is held in place simply by a locking mechanism there. You see it kind of swivel itself back in. And then we have the mounting plate or mounting arm that comes with your solar panel attachment. Now here you can see this part here is not actually drilled in. It's merely held into place by these pressure pins right here. So if I pop the pressure pins here, and then there's an extra one up there at the top, I can actually take this out. Or another way to do that is if I come in here, do like that, and I can just kind of pull that out for you, make it a little easier to see. So that is held in place only by pressure, not screws. However, you do notice that there are screw holes here. Now, if you're going to screw this mounting down, you're going to have to do both the plate itself and the arm, which I don't particularly know how I feel about that. Having to screw this down in multiple places or screw this in so that when I actually attach it, it doesn't pull out like that. It is also possible to mount to the top for vertical mounting, so there are options for that as well. But if you want to use the mounting kit that comes with it, that's one thing I want you to be aware of. Move on to our solar panel that comes with it, because this is part of the kit for the C660. You are looking at a solar panel that is 6.83 inches long, has a height of 4.74 and a depth of not even an inch. Now, if we flip this around, you can see there is the mounting channel for this, and it does come with a short USB-C connecting cable, which is great. This solar panel might actually surprise you. This little small panel can convert so much solar energy that you can practically keep the 660 going indefinitely with as little as 2 hours of sun every day. In fact, for the duration of my testing, once it got to 100%, it really didn't move off of that. In fact, the stats that you'll see in the application later do not do it any justice, because if you notice when that portion of this video was taken, it's a little earlier than you're seeing this. But I assure you, the camera's still up and it's still at 100%, even now, just because of this solar panel, which is unbelievable. And one of the things I like about Tapo's solar kit style cameras. With this being a smart device, that does mean that there is a setup process for this. So let me show you what that was like. This will be setup of the Tapo C660 KIT pan tilt camera. First things first, you're going to want to open up your Tapo app, and then the camera right here. Pull this little flap, and then there's a power button that we have to depress. Camera on. Camera on, red light flashing right there, red and green. So coming back to the application, we're going to press the plus sign once it acclimates itself. So it's a good idea to make sure you're holding this. And I'm going to also say it's probably a good idea to push this back into place just to be safe in case that moved on us, but it didn't. So we should be good to go. We're going to come into the Tapo app, press the plus sign, add a device. This is an outdoor camera. Here we go. Tapo C660. Keep in mind you can do a search because there are a lot of things to look for with Tapo now. 660. We do see that is flashing. We're going to hit next. Oh, and it's going to connect over Bluetooth, which is a nicer pairing method than having to do Wi-Fi. So we'll give that a moment to do its thing. Light is flashing. It says it's found it. Now it's searching for a Wi-Fi network, and it has located my IoT network. Tapo, good on you so far. That's blanked out. Tapo, not so much blanking out stuff, but is showing your Wi-Fi network to confirm. I hit confirm. We're going to let it do its thing now.
Connecting to Wi-Fi.
Saying connecting to Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi
Connected. And now it's paired. That was reasonably painless. And where will this be located? This is just so that it can group your cameras. You can select an icon for it, and setup's complete. You can do a free trial for their cloud storage. It's not necessary, so I'm going to dismiss. Can let me think about it later. Oh, no, got it. Leave me alone. And it says insert a micro SD card. Got it. Firmware upgrade time. Gonna do that off cycle. And there you can see it's done. Now that we have our camera all set up, what's next? Well, that would be looking at extra features like person, pet, and vehicle detection, as well as the camera's ability to use AI tracking for those particular types of targets, which was a first for me. I have yet to test a pan-tilt camera that actively tracks, not just notifies you of, but tracks people, pets, and vehicles. Let me tell you, that is a game-changing feature in my opinion, but all of that is set up and controlled through the application. Let me show you. This is the application for the Tapo C660. Starting off, we have in the right-hand corner here, this is a quick toggle for privacy mode on and off. I like the fact that you can toggle this before even accessing the camera itself. Down here, we have its location as well as its battery status. If it is charging, that will be green and let you know how much of a percent charge it has. If we select and open up our camera, this is a battery powered camera, so it does take a second to kind of get things going for the visual screen here. At the top, we have the name of the camera. To the left of that, we have our network connection and then battery percentage. Coming down, we have the active live view for this camera. Double tapping will allow you to zoom in on the screen, but note that double tapping again pulls you back out rather than zooming in further. If you want to zoom in more, you have to pinch to zoom as I'm demonstrating here. And this is where you can fully take advantage of that 4K view. So yes, it looks a little blown out, but when you consider how closely we zoomed in, it is remarkable. The lower left-hand corner, you have a grid box, which will allow you to add other Tapo cameras. So if you have other devices, you can have a live feed from all of them show up all at once. And then if you wanted to, you could just continue to swipe through. You have several screens of that you can go through. Now I'm going to select the camera I want and then go back to my single view. To the right of our multi-view, we have, in my case, it says 4K 8MP. This is going to be your 4K video. You can downscale that to 720 or put it at auto if you don't want to have to worry about it. I wanted to have it at the maximum that this camera can do because, well, that's why you're getting a 4K pan-tilt camera. To the right of that, we have auto, and this is going to be for your daylight versus night mode. So if you leave it on auto, the camera will pick based on its light sensor. If not, you can force it to stay in a particular mode if you wanted to. And then to the right of that, we have our full screen mode. This will shift our controls around a little bit. So photo, video, pan tilt controls, mic and audio, and then light and so forth. I just want to point those out because yes, they do change what is available and the location of them when you actually click into it. Coming down, we have a camera icon. If I use the camera icon, that takes a still image of whatever happens to be on the screen at that time. To the right of that, we have our video. If I select this, it will record whatever's happening in the live feed. Well, right now there's nothing actually happening, so you can't see the movement, but there is movement. And once I save that, it will go down here. We'll talk about that momentarily. To the right of the video, we have our audio. This is for our camera microphone. Notice I kind of have it blown out. That's why the red is up there, because I'm currently testing this in several different ways. But moving on from our microphone, we have a telephone. What this is full duplex talking. So I can tap on this and now whoever's outside can hear me talking and you could see it's running up there. I can quick toggle to mute my mic or I can quick toggle to mute the speaker, which is the speaker outside. Once I'm done, I simply press to hang up and I'm no longer talking to the person outside. I'm going to come back here because I wanted to show you this in the upper right hand corner. Selecting this will allow me to adjust several things, the camera speaker and the camera microphone. Just wanted to let you know where those were. Notice also we have access to our pan tilt controls right from the video calling area, which is a little weird, but it does allow us to move the camera around. And I can see why having it there could be useful because, well, if I'm talking, I don't want to have to exit that. But just know it's there. Right here we have our talk. This is going to be press and hold to talk so that people outside can hear what you're saying. And once you take your finger off, it no longer is doing it. You have your camera, speaker, and microphone options right there. We're going to close that. To the right of that, we have our pan tilt controls. These are different than what we had in the quick access area. Here you could see you have full up, down, left, right. Now, one thing I like about the controls is there. You don't see a lot of cameras that give you a notification letting you know that you've reached the maximum that the camera can actually do. So right now I'm at the highest that it can do. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly add a couple of extra spots in here so that we can see these are our viewpoints. And if I want to quickly move to a specific area without having to use this, I can simply select the viewpoint and the camera goes back to it. Now I could do this one over here, and there you can see, and go down. And those are kind of quick toggles to get you to places that you might frequent. So I like it. It's a nice option. To the right of pan tilt controls, we have our patrol mode. Notice we have viewpoint 1, viewpoint 2, and viewpoint 3. Patrol, I can select horizontal, and now the camera will patrol in a horizontal fashion. Don't want to leave that on too long. That does eat up your battery, having the head constantly move around. And in the upper right-hand corner of both the patrol and pan tilt, we have this here. This will allow us to set how many degrees the camera will actually pan and tilt. Right now it's set on 10. If you wanted larger panning, you could set that higher. If you wanted less, you set that lower to 5. I like the fact that those options are there. To the right of our pan tilt controls, we have our alarm. This is alarm triggering on and off. This is not actually going to set the alarm. You need something to wander through in order for it to actually go off. Coming to the right of that, we have privacy mode. Selecting privacy mode is a very nice feature. It will disengage the camera. So it is not recording anything. You will not be able to see anything through it until you turn privacy mode off, which will then give you your live feed again. Here we have our light. This is a little tricky to see because, well, it's daytime when I'm doing this, but this will turn on the LED lights that are on the camera. Notice in the upper right-hand corner, there is a countdown timer because, well, guess what? The light will eat the battery, so you don't want to forget that you left it on. So conveniently, it's on a timer and will turn itself off. Next to that, we have tagging on or off. This will put a blue box around a person, pet, or vehicle, and Tapo has even added the ability to label said thing, person, pet, or vehicle, which is really nice. To the right of that, we have AI zoom. Now, right now, you're not seeing much, but I can scroll around a little bit, you could see bigger picture with the itty bitty picture here. Where this really shines is when you're looking at this and it's actively tracking somebody and zooming in on that person without you having to pinch to zoom or double tap. This is a really great feature, but sadly only works in the live feed. It does not work in your recordings, which we're getting to down there. But it is a welcome addition to the Tapo C660 because this was a really cool feature when I was testing it out, because not only was it panning and tilting, but the digital zooming was great. It locked on to somebody and just stayed with them. To the right of our AI zoom, we have our Tapo Care. This is the product that Tapo allows you to purchase into, but they do not tie you to the actual need of this for complete functionality with the camera. Here you can see what you actually get with Tapo Care, which is 30-day of unlimited cloud storage, rich notification. Instead of just getting a text notification, you would get a little image as well. Here we have video summary, weekly report, smart sort, and then baby growth, but this is an outside camera, so I don't necessarily see how that would be pertinent for this particular camera. You saw how much it costs. It can change depending on when you're seeing this video. Coming down, we have playback and downloads. If I select this option, this is going to show me my playbacks and download. And if I click on something, it's going to show me motion. So that was triggered by my little robot there. Let's see if I can get a pet or something in here. There's a fox, but it's showing me pet and motion is what triggered it. And what it's doing now is this purple is continuous recording where it's taking snapshots. Now, the snapshots, if you have the LEDs engaged, only work with infrared. This is another motion trigger, which is why the LED lights came back on. There's a little motion over there. If I show you this in the upper right-hand corner here, this will allow you to slow it down to 1/16 or go all the way up to 16 increased speed so that you can get through your video a little quicker. Just above our speed, we also have a filter. So if I only want to see motion, pet, or person events, that's how I could do that and find those particular events. Also notice that we have a play pause, audio, still image, video recording, And then this here is actually only useful on a actual clip, which is a pair of scissors, which will let you adjust the clip size, meaning the length of it, so that you don't have to download a full video if you don't want to. This is a feature that I'm really glad Tapo has included in their camera setups. Now, let's say this particular Fox one, if I wanted to download that, I simply select the three dots to the right, and I can select download. That will download it to my downloads area, which will then allow me to download it to my phone. If I select this also, I have the ability to correct the event. Well, was it not a pet? Maybe it was a person. You can select and apply and help train the AI. Coming back up to the top here, we're going to select our downloads. And here are all the downloads that I've been getting while testing this. Now, if I select the three dots in the upper right-hand corner, I could filter through my downloads, letting me see photos, videos, cloud video. It will let me kind of look through things. I also have the ability to select, where I can multi-select, which will allow me to share multiple files, favorite multiple files, download multiple files, or delete. If I don't do that, I just have to click on something and then I can share, favorite, download, or delete. And that's all under our downloads area. But that covers all of our camera controls. Let's move on to our camera settings, which we access through the sprocket icon in the upper right-hand corner. Starting off on the top, we have our device name and location and device info. There's a lot of sensitive information in there, including MAC address, Wi-Fi, and firmware update area. So if you need to do that, you could do that right from there. Here we have our detection. Well, right now I have wake up sensitivity. How sensitive do I want this to be? And I could do a range test right from here if I wanted to. Now, auto tracking, this is one thing that I really appreciate about this camera, is the fact that one, you can track specific activity instead of all activity or no activity, but that specific activity includes vehicle and pet. There are a lot of other handheld cameras out there with auto tracking that will only auto track a person. The fact that this also auto tracks vehicles and pets or animals that are in my backyard, I really, really like that and have enjoyed watching this follow deer around in my backyard who shouldn't be there. And we can discourage the deer using an option that I'll show you a little later. Here we have our detection zones. Selecting this, well, we can set for all, which is currently what it's set at, or we could set for each, meaning that if I select edit, I can set up specific activity zones for motion, for people, for pets, for vehicles. This is great. So if a pet, or, I don't care if they're further out there, I only care if they're here, I could set up a motion zone right there. Do I want another motion zone for a pet? I could do that. Well, that's over there. Here's another one over there. Here's another one right there. Here's another one. Here's another one. You get the idea. There's a lot of these that I can do. I can keep going, but you reach your zone limit at 8. I'm just going to clear all of those. I can set this view to landscape and do it, but we're going to select back. I'm going to leave because I don't want to save any of those changes. I'm going to go back to all because I like it for all. But the fact that I can do that on an individual target type basis is great. And then coming down, we have motion detection on for person, for motion, person, and pet. No vehicles because I don't get vehicles in my backyard. But individually, I can set the sensitivity for how sensitive I want this to be in detecting said person or a pet or a vehicle. We also have the ability to set auto exposure. So I can change this and allow it to change the exposure for persons or pets based on lighting. So just because my outdoor feed looks like this doesn't mean that the camera won't adjust itself to try and make things look as good as they possibly can. Next to detection, we have our alarm. Well, right now it's set to off. I'm going to turn that on. And then here we have alarm type, sound, light, or lights and sound, meaning it'll flash and make a noise. Here we have our sound type. Well, we've got volume 4, default, which is one of these down here. So siren, emergency, or red alert. These are all going off outside. They sound like this. Or we can do a custom where we create, this is me creating a custom sound. Get off my lawn. You shouldn't be here. Deer, go away. Stop eating my flowers. Tap to play back. That's playing back outside now.
This is me creating a custom sound. Get off my lawn. You shouldn't be here. Deer, go away. Stop eating my flowers.
We could pause that. We can either record again, or if we like this, we can simply say save. Now this sound will be the sound that happens when something triggers the alarm. So that was our sound type, alarm duration, set to default, or we can do 5 to 30 seconds, or if we select custom, we can do any interval in between. Still 30 seconds is the max. Alarm event type. Well, what do we want to trigger this? Well, I don't get vehicles back there. I don't necessarily want that going off with every motion event. So I'll just leave it at people and pets and then alarm schedule. Well, do you want this all the time? Do you want this during the day, which is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., during the evening, which is 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., or do you want to set up a custom schedule? A custom schedule will allow you to select days and then time frame in which it falls between. And that was all under our alarm. Over here, we have battery status. If I select this, I've got a lot of information. I can show the battery status. I can show the power percentage, which I like. Working mode right now, I've had it on balance, but maybe I want to put this on high performance where it will sacrifice more power hungry features, but I have a better chance of catching all the things that I want. But you have balance, power save, and custom. Custom will allow you to adjust every finite aspect of the camera, from clip duration to clip size, and then we can come into our custom settings. So here we have clip retrigger time, clip record buffer, and then clip length. That's all under the customization. But if I go back to high performance, we've got auto power saver mode at 10%, meaning it will disengage the high performance mode once we get down to 10%. Coming down, we have our solar charging data, which will allow you to record the solar energy usage. I really should have had that on for this part, but this is the next one, which is auto privacy mode. This is a great feature, meaning that if you do not rely on the solar energy and you bring this into the house to charge it, it will automatically go into privacy mode, meaning the camera will not record anything. So you don't have to worry about pointing the camera in an odd direction to not have it capture you while it's inside charging. And then down here, we've got our battery level indicators. So here you can see over the past 7 days versus the 3 days, and I was at 100%, but this is 100% with charging. Battery usage, well, there you can see I used 1%. And then time usage, 24 minutes, 19, 16. Here we've got details. Here we have wake ups where we have 49 events, but filtered by AI brought that down to 23 events. And then solar energy output. Well, you can see I don't really have a lot there at the moment, but the fact that Tapo gives us all that data, I really like, because I like data. I like charts. To the right of that, we have our 24/7 capture. This is not going to be 24/7 recording of video. Think of it more as it's creating a time lapse for the 24/7 capture, meaning it's going to take still frame images that it can stitch together. However, you can select your capture interval from 1 second to 60 seconds. Just know the less the interval, the more battery it's going to use. We can also do this on a schedule. So either you want to do this all the time, or maybe I want to select edit and I want to capture 24/7 capture there. I can make that change, hit that save in the upper right hand corner. I'm not going to do that. And then from there, we could disable the 24/7 capture if we wanted to. Coming down, we have our pan tilt controls. Here we have our patrol mode. It is currently off, but if I toggle this on, yes, I'm going to say enable patrol mode. In order to use this particular patrol mode, we have to create 2 markers. So here we have our viewpoint. So I could say add a marker. So it's going to add a marker for view 1. And then layover time is how long it will stay at that position. So by default, it's 1 hour, but you can go up to 12 hours. So I'm going to say save, and I'm going to add a marker 2, and I'm going to use viewpoint 3, add a marker, stay there for an hour. All right. So now when patrol mode is engaged, it will move between these 2 points. It will come to viewpoint 1, stay an hour, move to viewpoint 2, stay an hour. Maybe I would like to reorder them, but in order to do that, I have to press patrol mode off, and then I can reorder as I want. So that's different than the previous patrol mode that we saw. Here we have timed panoramic photography. Well, if I do that, I can set up a schedule where every day at 8 a.m. it will pan tilt and give me an image. It's rather a interesting feature, which looks like this. Every day at 8 a.m. it was creating this, and they give you a little video. Here we have our pan tilt angle, just like before. We can adjust it to 5, 10, or 15, and then pan tilt correction, where clicking this will have the camera rotate itself left and right, up and down, and then return to its true neutral position. Coming back, we have our Tapo Carefree trial. This is another way that we can access that information. Under that, we have storage and recordings. Currently, we are using our local recording. Here is our local storage file. This is an SD card. It shows us how much we've used, how much we have left. Loop recording, which will allow us to record over older things. Here we have our SD encryption. This is a new feature that Tapo has added on its cameras, where it will allow you to, 1, make the SD card device specific, meaning this SD card has to be in this Tapo camera in order for it to actually be decrypted. It adds a password to access the information on the SD card. So not only does it have to be in the camera, you have to put in your password, and then it's only accessible in the Tapo app on your phone. So these are 3 levels of extra protection that you can do for the video files that are on this SD card. So I can't just pull this out, put it into another camera, or put it into my computer and access those. So if you really care about protecting your stuff, the encryption, it's a nice extra. Coming down, we have our clip settings. We have our retrigger time. How quickly between clips will it retrigger itself? Record buffer. Well, how much before an actual triggered event do you actually get? And then maximum clip length. If you're in the full-on, I don't care about my battery mode, it's going to be 60 seconds. If you're doing balance, it's going to be 20 seconds. Record schedule. Well, here we have detection recording versus 24 versus don't record anything. Just like before, you can select that and edit around as you see fit. Record sound. This is to toggle that on and off. If you live in an area where you can't have video recordings that have audio, that's where you come to turn that off. Coming down, we have video and display. Right here, we have our night mode. You can select between infrared, which allows you to select what type of infrared, near, medium, and far, how intense those IR lights are going to be. Or we can come over to the color mode, which will use the LED lights to get a better color night picture. I actually prefer the color night mode. Video quality, you can do 720, which is still considered HD, but is data saving. Or you can do the 4K 8 megapixel, which is the reason you're probably getting this, or you can select it down to auto, which will switch depending on your bandwidth. Frame rate, you can select between 20 and 15 frames a second. Privacy zone, well, if I turn this on, this will make a little more sense. I'm going to add a privacy zone, let's say over here, and save. What this does is create a black box that does not get recorded, does not allow you to see it, and adds a privacy area to your recording. So if you had this pointed at somebody's house in the corner there, this would be a way that you can prevent that from being recorded or visible to you. It's, as it says, it's a privacy zone. Here we have image settings. We have the original video. We can make it a cooler tone. We can make it a warmer tone. We can make it a soft tone. And then we can adjust the image brightness here. For most part, I just leave it on original. It works perfectly fine. Auto exposure, well, if you turn that on, you're going to get better image quality for pets and people. Coming down, we have display tag on screen. By default, it will have your speed indicator, but you can turn live on. And just know it kind of shows you exactly what it will look like in this little image here. Moving on, we have our spotlight. This is going to be your spotlight intensity. I have it up all the way, and you can test it out by selecting that in the upper right-hand corner. The only problem is right now I'm doing this during the daytime, so you can't exactly see how bright that is. Moving on, we have our status LED light. You can turn that on and off. This is just a light that lets you know what's happening with the camera. But if you want to be more stealthy, you could turn that off. Here we have our network connectivity. Based on where this is located, it's showing you the signal strength, which is not great, but still works very well. You have another place where you can enable your privacy mode on and off right from there. Here we have our notifications. Well, you want to have your notifications on because you want to get notified when something happens. Here's our rich notification toggle. Again, only if you pay for Tapo Care can you utilize that. And then here we have activity type. This is really nice because, well, I don't care about vehicles because I don't get vehicles back there, but I only want person or pets to send me a notification. I don't care about motion events. So the ability to change that, really good. Scheduling, just like before, we have during the day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., during the night, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., and a custom duration depending on what we would like. That was under notification. Moving on, we have our advanced settings. We have power line frequency right here. You can change this between 60 and 50 hertz. This is mostly about helping with flickering that tends to happen if you either have camera from a different region or lighting from a different region. Voice call mode, we have our standard mode and compatibility mode. That's going to just kind of compress everything in order to make sure that you have stable call if you don't happen to be on a stable connection. Display settings, you have accelerated hardware or compatibility mode, which is just, hey, how much stress is it going to put on your actual device to make sure that you have optimal video with your device. Diagnostics, you could turn this on or off. It's recommended that you leave this off unless you're actively pursuing a problem and having Tapo look into something. We have share device. I could simply select share, and then this will allow me to use somebody's Tapo ID or their email to allow them to share this particular camera. Under that, we have our smart actions, triggering an if this then that event. So here we could see some predefined ones, or we can create our own and we would make an automation effective always when we would say that outdoor camera is triggered. If we don't necessarily need that because it's optional, then I could say if the outdoor camera is triggered, then turn on one of my light bulbs because I might not be near my phone and get a notification. So that's interesting. Here we have our user guide letting us know, hey, here are some things that we can do with the camera if you need assistance with. And then support center, well, maybe you actually need support, which is coming soon. By the time you're seeing this will probably be up there. You have another way to update your firmware, but when you set this up, it should be automatically checking for firmware during that 3 a.m. window. We can reboot the camera if we want, and then remove this camera from your Tapo account if you plan on giving this camera to somebody else. And that has been everything that we can do for the Tapo C660 in the Tapo app. Now that we've seen all of the unique features that this camera offers, what's next? Well, for me, that's testing. First off, audio. The audio from the camera itself, as well as from the camera to the application, is honestly pretty good and about on par with other cameras that I've tested like it. Let's take a listen.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
One other thing with a pan tilt camera that you have to consider is actual motor noise or rotation sounds that you'll get from the camera. What I will say, from the camera into your video itself, yes, you will hear a little bit of that motor sound as it's tracking a target or you're moving it around. However, it is not terrible and not enough to take away from the actual video itself. If you're talking about walking up to this and listening for a motor sound, you're not going to hear anything at all, which is great. But don't take my word for it. Let's take another listen.
Audio test for sound coming from the camera and hearing if the motor noise overrides but the camera's also tracking me making motor noises, so hopefully we'll see how that does. Thank you.
No problem, didn't hear a thing. Moving on to video. First thing I want to touch on is because this is a pan tilt camera that can track people, pets, and vehicles, well, that's great. And it does a really good job when it locks onto something. But what happens if you get two targets that walk into frame? Well, one, if it's a person and a pet, it will stay locked onto the person, the larger target. Here you can see me being scared by a cat that decided to jump out at me while I couldn't see anything. Quite amusing, I'm sure. If two people walk into frame, whether one is going this way or one is going this way, I tested it several different ways. My wife doesn't like being on camera, but what I can tell you is the camera will stay locked on to the original target, meaning if you are the first person that it sees and somebody else walks into frame, it will not follow them. It will stay locked on to you. However, that's not the limitations of the testing that I did for video. Over there in the corner, you will see a link to the full 4K video for this camera, as the video samples that you'll see next are downscaled for this 1080 video. Starting off in the daytime, and the camera is not set to pan tilt. Images are sharp with vivid color and no pixelation or motion blur at all that I could see. This gave me one of the sharpest pictures that I have actually tested for a Tapo camera to date. Now, when it is tracking a person, meaning the pan tilt is actually in motion, it tracks very well with no real noticeable artifacting. With the camera tracking a single target, it does keep locked on very well. And even on the edges or periphery of the video, everything still looks crisp and clear. Moving on to low light, taking advantage of that sensor. Images look sharp and clean with good color. Target can be seen, but there is noticeable artifacting with some ghosting showing on faster moving targets. However, that is to be expected with a starlight sensor, or whatever the competition calls that type of sensor. Moving on to pan tilt movement, edges of the video do seem less sharp once movement happens, and the image does become blurry. The target does show artifacting when it is moving and the camera is tracking. However, the image is still very good. Night IR usage, tracking, most of the image is sharp and clear. Target does show artifacting and looks softer when moving. Image is still good enough to ID what is moving through the camera frame. IR lights do well for lighting things up, considering there's only 2 of them. And the outermost periphery of your video may be a little darker. IR with pan tilt movement. Image quality is good for a basic security IR light, keeps target well lit and tracks well. Image quality does suffer as pixelation is seen around the moving target and when the camera moves itself, which is still not too bad and can be used for IDing target that is going through your video. Now, night with the LED without movement. Image quality in center is sharp and clear with good color. Around the edges of the lighted picture does become somewhat muted. Target does show artifacting and ghosting with a slight fuzzy look to the target moving through frame, but still does have a clear picture considering the sensor size. If there is little movement from the target, meaning once it gets to where it's going, image is very sharp. Now, pan tilt movement, surrounding video does blur when the camera is moving and following a target. Target does have some artifacting and motion blur. Some ghosting can be seen, but not as much as when the camera is stationary. LED light spread is good, but I also noticed using this mode does use the color night vision or the starlight sensor, as I could see in the far sections of my video that were clearly using light sources that were not from the camera to help brighten up the video, which does help make things look brighter and sharper while the video camera is moving. Next important test, detection speed, because you want to be notified of whatever's happening as quickly as possible. Let me show you. So that should be about here. Let's see if I can get this in the camera. Look for some shade. There we go. 2.72. Little slower than the first time, but still really good. Even with a lot to like about this camera, there are some cons that I want to bring to your attention for consideration. First being, the mounting arm is weak-ish if not screwed in. So what do I mean by that? Well, if we come back over and I mount things back up, you'll notice, hopefully, it might be difficult to see on camera, there is movement. There's wiggling. Now, notice the mounting arm here is supposed to be set up and screwed in to this plate first and then mounted to the camera, not the other way around. So if you don't screw this in to the kit arm here, you're going to be left with a wiggly camera that, in my opinion, could have been done better by Tapo to make sure that it didn't fall off. Because of that weird shape, it is very front heavy. I did strap it down because my testing area doesn't allow me to screw things in. So I was concerned. However, I will say it did not fall down at all during my testing. Speaking of the unique shape of this, coming to the front here, the oval or egg shape of this forces the PIR sensor to be smaller than I would like. And based on how I have this tilted up to see things, that means that the PIR sensor does not always get triggered where I would like it because it's not wide enough, in my opinion, to get everything that I want. Yeah, they have a nice smiley face, but it needs to be wider to take advantage of the actual full field of view of this camera. Speaking of our camera shape here, the way that this is designed also prevents the vertical view from going all that high. You can see that's about it. Yeah, we can move that down quite a bit, but the vertical, which is where I like it to see farther out into my yard, is limiting. But if you're going to have this up high looking down at stuff, then I get it. That's fine. I just want you to be aware of that limitation for the vertical view. And really, those are the few things that I could come up with for you to consider. Despite the few shortcomings that this pan tilt camera has, it is still a very solid camera that puts to shame anything that I have tested so far in this area. The accuracy of the tracking for people and pets has been spot on, and the AI digital zoom, which was a feature that I didn't think I needed until I experienced it. And Tapo continues not to lock their core features behind a paywall. Because of this, I can strongly recommend the Tapo C660. Does this sound like the pan-tilt camera you've been looking for? I will have a link where you can pick one up for yourself in the description area below. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making a comprehensive video like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Still not sure if this is the right outdoor pan-tilt camera for you? On screen now, you'll see 2 other reviews that I've done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.